Imagine stepping onto a new world, a place where the very ground beneath your feet feels different. Today, we're journeying to two of humanity's most ambitious destinations, the Moon and Mars, to ask a crucial question for future explorers. Where is it better to build a base, considering gravity? Let's start with the numbers. Earth's gravity, the force we're all used to, is what we call 1 gram. It's the standard against which we measure everything else. The Moon, our closest celestial neighbor, has a gravity of about 0.16 grams. That's roughly 1/6 of Earth's pull. If you weigh 180 pounds on Earth, you'd feel like you only weigh 30 pounds on the Moon. Now, let's travel further out to the red planet. Mars has a gravity of about 0.38 grams, which is a little over 1/3 of Earth's gravity. That same 180-pound person would feel like they weigh about 68 pounds on Mars. Right away, you can see a significant difference. Mars has more than double the gravity of the Moon. This single fact has massive implications for everything from construction to human health. Let's talk about building our base. Lower gravity, like on the Moon, might seem like a builder's dream at first. Materials would be much lighter and easier to move. A construction rover could lift massive structural elements that would be impossible to budge on Earth. Astronauts could single-handedly position large panels or carry heavy equipment with ease. This could potentially speed up the initial construction phase. However, this low gravity also presents unique engineering challenges. Structures don't need to support their own weight as much, but they still need to be stable. A slight accidental push could send a large object tumbling away in a low-gravity environment. Anchoring the base accessorios, the lunar surface, or regolith, becomes incredibly important. You have to ensure your habitat doesn't shift or get knocked mullers its foundation, especially during activities like rocket landings or launches, which can create seismic vibrations. On Mars, the higher gravity closer to what we are used to, which can be an advantage for construction. Things are still much lighter than on Earth, making them manageable, but they have enough weight to feel more stable and predictable. Materials will stay put more reliably, and the risk of accidentally sending a vital piece of equipment floating away with a small nudge is reduced. The entire process of assembly might feel more intuitive and grounded for the astronauts. Engineers would still need to account for the reduced gravity in their designs, but the principles would be more familiar. The foundations would need to be robust, but the overall stability of structures under their own weight is less of a concern than on the Moon. Now, let's shift our focus from the buildings to the builders, the astronauts themselves. This is where the gravity debate gets really interesting and is backed by a lot of scientific research. Living in low gravity has profound effects on the human body. Our bodies are perfectly adapted to Earth's 1 gram. When you take that away, things start to change, and not always for the better. On the Moon, with its 1/6 gravity, the effects would be quite dramatic. Astronauts on the International Space Station, which is in microgravity, almost 0 G, experience rapid muscle atrophy and bone density loss. Our muscles and bones are constantly working against Earth's gravity. When that resistance is gone, they start to weaken because the body thinks they're no longer needed. Astronauts on the ISS have to exercise for about 2 hours every single day just to mitigate these effects. Living on the Moon would be similar, though not as extreme. The body would still perceive a massive reduction in load. Long-term inhabitants would likely need a rigorous daily exercise regimen involving resistance training and treadmills to maintain jihad muscle mass and bone strength. This is a major logistical consideration for a lunar base. You need to dedicate space, power, and time for complex exercise equipment. Failure to do so could mean that astronauts returning to Earth after a long mission might be too weak to even stand. This is where Mars's higher gravity presents a compelling advantage. At 0.38 grams, the force on the body is still significantly less than on Earth, but it's more than double the Moon's. Scientific models and studies, like the gravity-loading countermeasure skin suit experiments, suggest that this higher gravitational pull could be a game-changer for long-term health. The constant, gentle resistance of Martian gravity would be working on the astronauts' bodies 24/7. This passive loading could significantly reduce the rate of muscle and bone loss. While astronauts on Mars would almost certainly still need to exercise, the duration and intensity might be less demanding than on the Moon. This is what scientists refer to as a gravity prescription. The big unanswered question is, what is the minimum amount of gravity the human body needs to stay healthy long term? Is the Moon's 0.16 grams enough? Or is Mars's 0.38 grams above a critical threshold? We don't have a definitive answer yet, as we have never sent humans to live in partial gravity for extended periods. However, many experts hypothesize that Mars's gravity is in a much healthier range for the human body over a multi-year mission or for permanent settlement. This has huge implications for the vision of a self-sustaining off-world colony. A population that can stay healthier with less medical and exercise intervention is a more resilient and sustainable population. Think about daily life, too. On the Moon, every movement would be a bouncy, floating step. While fun at first, it could be disorienting and make precise tasks difficult. Simple things like pouring a liquid or using a tool would require relearning. On Mars, movement would still be springy and light, but more controlled. An astronaut could walk or run with a more familiar gait. This could make day-to-day life inside and outside the base feel more natural and less physically and mentally taxing. So when we weigh the options, the picture becomes clearer. The Moon's ultra-low gravity offers advantages for initial construction, making heavy lifting easier. However, for the long-term health and well-being of its inhabitants, which is the most important factor for a permanent base, Mars's higher gravity seems to be the clear winner. The reduced need for extreme exercise countermeasures and the more normal physical environment could make life on Mars more sustainable and healthier for generations of explorers. It's a fundamental difference that could tip the scales in favor of the Red Planet as humanity's next long-term home. Building a base anywhere beyond Earth will be the greatest engineering and human challenge ever undertaken. Both the Moon and Mars offer incredible opportunities for science and discovery. But if the goal is to truly live and work on another world for years or even decades, the gentle but constant pull of Martian gravity might just be the most important ally we have. What are your thoughts on this cosmic construction dilemma? Let us know in the comments below. And for more deep dives into space exploration and science, be sure to subscribe to Space Repo.